There have been many misconceptions among the Buddhist community and those wanting to learn about the Buddha's teachings, that the Buddhist advice was primarily for the monastics, whether the monks or the nuns. But little did they know, because they didn't explore the teachings of the Buddha, that there are actually many lectures or suttas where the Buddha actually addressed concerns of the lay persons. And today we have the fortunate event in which we have the Sigālovāda Sutta forum, in which this sutta is introduced. In this particular sutta, the Buddha has given a very comprehensive coverage on the harmonious advice which we can take into account, put into our personal behaviors, our societies, and so on, so that the overall society and the family unit are all living harmoniously in support of each other. Now, the sutta basically starts off with a young Sigāla from a rich family, and recently his father passed away, and on passing away, the father on his deathbed advised his son to actually pay respects to the 6 directions on a daily basis. This paying respect, following the ancient customs those days, was that he would be fully dressed, wet his hair and his clothes, and go to a major intersection in the village and perform his rituals. Of course, he didn't know why or its significance. And it so happened one day when the Buddha in Rajagaha dressed up and was walking along this path, chanced upon this young Sigāla performing these rituals. And the Buddha inquired as to what he was doing. And Sigāla just narrated that his father's wish and all that. And the Buddha corrected him that these 6 directions have deep meaning and is significant for his conduct and throughout his life. And from there, the Buddha proceeded to give the advice recorded in the Sigālovāda Sutta. So today we have the fortunate opportunity to hear from a panel of speakers. And let us start with Sister Buddhinī, who will touch on friends and other advices in which we can learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ananda. Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters. In the Sigālovāda Sutta, the Buddha taught about 6 social relations and responsibilities, 6 directions towards 6 types of relationship and how one should treat each other. It begins with the ease. Ease is the direction where life begins with parents' care, and as we grow up, we go under the feet of the teachers, which is south. West holds the later daylight. As youth becomes men, they form own family and takes care of them. North is beyond. So by the help of friends, one gets beyond troubles, one gets beyond their own limitations and thrive in life. Nadir is a direction below that symbolizes subordinates and servants. Zenith is the direction that is above, which symbolizes gods or supernatural beings in ancient days. This means spiritual teachers in spiritual teaching. Friends, no man is an island. In our contemporary lifestyle, we network a lot with many people and have many spheres of social life. We meet different people at different time, different occasion, different places, and swapping roles from moment to moment. The change of roles are expedited by the change and advancement of technology. Just imagine, since the beginning of invention of WhatsApp, how many messages do we receive in a minute? How many roles we have to swap within a minute? From being a parent, or being a child, to being a teacher, friend, business colleagues, and so on and so forth. Among all these changes, how do we truly stay connected with them? The Buddha said, metta is a fundamental to all aspects of relationship. Treat everyone as if they are our friends. Treat them with friendliness, with loving kindness, and with all the care and concern that we can. In the Karaniya Sutta, the Buddha said that we should radiate loving kindness to everyone, just as a mother would protect her only child with her own life. Even so, let him cultivate boundless thoughts of loving kindness towards all beings. And let him cultivate boundless thoughts of loving kindness towards the whole world, above, below, and all around, unobstructed, free from hatred and enmity. Here, above, below, and all around indicate all spheres of social relations. From metta, there comes the word mitta, friend. How can we identify true friends and false friends around us? The Buddha gave us advice by seeing the qualities that they possess. False friend, papamitta, the Buddha said, they are all takers. They take whatever things that we have and they render lip service. They give empty promises. They are the one who flatters us as well, who only say what we would like to hear but not the truth. They are also the friends who bring ruin to our lives. These are the 4 types of friends that we should avoid because they bring so much harm and danger to our lives. We cannot underestimate the influence of friends in our lives. In one of the Jataka tales, the Bodhisattva was born as a wise sage called Akiti. He was rich, but he gave away all his belongings and lived a life of an ascetic. King of Dewa, the King Saka, was so impressed by his practice and promised to grant him any boon that he asked for. This Akiti Pandita begged that he might never meet, speak, and talk with unwise and bad friends. The king of Dewa was surprised and asked him, "What did bad friends ever do to you that you don't like them so much?" He replied that the unwise friends, the bad friends, they do not understand the righteous path. Because of that, they lead their friends to the bad ways and teach them to do the wrong thing, because they themselves do not know the right way of things. And if any righteous path or good ways are recommended to them, they turn to become angry because they cannot understand and they cannot accept. Sometimes they even quarrel with us. When given another boon, Akiti Pandita requested to continue to associate with good and wise friends. When King Saka asked him again, he answered, "These wise and good friends know the righteous path. They always lead their friends to the good ways and teach them to do good, because they themselves know the right way. And if righteous paths are being shared with them, they can understand and they can accept it. They don't lose their temper and they don't quarrel with other people." These bad companions are like rotten fish. And one who associates with these bad companions is like the leaf used to wrap the rotten fish. Even you have taken the rotten fish away, the smell is still there. Well, good companions are like fragrant flowers. One who associates with these good companions, they are like the leaf used to wrap these fragrant flowers. After you take away the flower, the fragrance is still there. The Buddha also talked about good friends, suhada mita, and these are the qualities of good friends. They are good helpers. They help us in any way that we need. They are with us in times of happiness and sorrow. They also give good counsel without fear and favor. They are also the ones who are compassionate, who go through with us all our difficulties in life, be our refuge in times of trouble. These are the good friends that we should hold them and cherish them devotedly, just like a mother who does that to her own child. I remember back in Kampong, good neighbors, our good friends, whenever we need help, they come and help. They suggest where to get certain things. They suggest the ways to solve certain problems. When we host events or parties, or kenduri, they came and helped to set up tents, cook, host the people, and do whatever necessary. And when we were having the need to go away, they also help us to keep an eye on our homes, our properties, our pets. And this is not only happening during good times, it also happened during the time in trouble. In the year of 2014, Kelantan was hit by one of the massive worst flash flood in the state's history. The continuous 3 days of heavy rainfall was equivalent to almost 60 days of normal rainfall. This has caused the water level rapidly increase and gush into the homes of many. That time, no one was prepared for that disaster. People were not evacuated before the river flows. Within a night, the whole village communities become isolated from the rest of the world, as roads were blocked, electricity was cut, and communications were down. I have an aunt in a village who is handicapped by birth. She cannot walk. On that day, the highest ground she could ever reach is her bed on the ground floor. She anxiously looking at the rising water, and she thought that could be her last few hours. Suddenly, she heard someone calling her name. Her neighbors came with a paddle boat and fetched her to another neighbor's home, which located in a higher ground. This neighbor hosted her well for the next few days until the water subsided. During that period, we also got to know that there were many volunteers from nationwide and Thailand came with army trucks and paddle boat to distribute essential supplies and later evacuated the flood victims. The most heartwarming thing that they have gone through is these are the help they receive in times of trouble, and people dare to risk their life to come and help wholeheartedly without expecting anything in return. It was truly heartwarming. The Buddha also gave advice on how one should treat our friends. First is with generosity. Shower them with gifts, shower them with generous, kind words, pleasant speech, and look into their welfare as well. At the same time, we treat them as if we would like them to treat us and remain truthful in all circumstances with our friends. Having met such good friend, one shall reciprocate his goodness by guard him and his property when he's heedless, be a refuge when he's in fear or in danger, do not abandon friend when he's in trouble, and also extend this love, care, and concern and respect to his family members. My take in these qualities are, these are not for us to judge others, but it's more for us to reflect upon ourselves and develop these good qualities to be good friends for others. In this sutta, the Buddha encouraged Sigālovāda to associate with true-hearted friends. In many other occasions, the Buddha also emphasized the importance of having higher level of friendship, the Kalyana Mittata, spiritual friendship. True-hearted friends can help us to progress and gain success in our worldly paths. But spiritual friends are those who keep us and hold us on the course so that we do not become heedless and they lead us to spiritual attainment. I met with an accident during my final semester in uni. I was on crutches for a few months, couldn't attend classes, and missed my final exam. Fortunately, during that time, I have many true friends around. My housemates were the one who helped me with all my daily care and get food for me and my daily routine. My coursemate were the one who helped me to take all the notes, tutorials, and assignment questions. They are the one who also coached me over the phone. During that time, there were no online study materials and technology. They also helped me to appeal to lectures so that I don't have to defer my graduation. I have also good seniors who shared with me many interview tips and also recommended me many good job opportunities. They encouraged me not to give up trying. Even my mom's childhood friend, a Malay pakcik, came and helped to treat me every day for a few months. I learned that when we have good friends, we also have this ripple effect to benefit other family members. The most touching words this pakcik said to me was, I want to help you, not only because you are my friend's daughter, but I want to get you to heal quickly, to get well, so that you can move on in life. You are young, full of opportunities. You need to explore to the fullest potential and be a support, be a blessing to other people. I remember these words until now. The additional gifts that I had during that time was from my spiritual friends. They are the ones who keep holding me, encourage me, so that I didn't fall into negativity. Instead of thinking around and asking myself, why me, why now, full of suffering and unsatisfactoriness, they taught me the lesson of anchoring and the power of offering. What can I do now? How can I help? They also motivated me to keep practicing Dhamma, practice chanting, meditate on daily basis, and practice Brahma Vihara to myself and to others. Turn anger into loving kindness, turn hurtful feeling into compassion, turn jealousy to rejoice in other people's success, and be open to accept the present unfavorable conditions in life. Eventually, that accident made my life experience much better instead of bitter. These are the spiritual friends whom I cherish and choose to associate for life. We share noble aspiration to walk the Dhamma path. We encourage each other. We remind each other and watch out for each other so that we do not stray from the true path and keep going on this spiritual journey. I consider myself quite blessed to have many true friends and spiritual friends who go through will and woe with me. Thank you very much for your care, love, encouragement, support, and generosity, which truly nourish me comfortably during this life journey. You have inspired me to reach out and offer myself in a way that I have received. Brothers and sisters, having known this priceless wealth of true friends and spiritual friends, the Buddha advised us to cherish them, to care of them, and to support them in return, and to continue to associate with them. And the Buddha also strongly encouraged us to cultivate towards being a true friend and spiritual friend. So we have a choice, and why not be the one? Thank you very much for your attention. I dedicate this sharing as a tribute to all my true good friends, my spiritual friends, and my spiritual teachers who have been my leading pillars over the years. Thank you, and may you all be well and happy. Sukhi Hotu.
Thank you, Sister Buddhinī, for the wonderful sharing. And just a quick summary, you will notice that Sister Buddhinī has taken great pains to emphasize that everything is in our hands. We can really choose our friends so that we are surrounded by wholesomeness and so on, and then proceed from there in our daily lives. So to continue with today's forum, let us introduce Achariya Tan to present his take on the harmonious family. Achariya Sanjay.
Good morning, dear Dhamma friends. It is now my good opportunity for me to speak on the importance of happy families in building harmony in one's life and also in society within the context of the Sigālovāda Sutta, which we are discussing. To start off, let us take a look at the human being and his or her relationship in society. The human being does not exist alone. He or she is part of a larger group. So he has to understand the importance of the network which he or she exists. So the core of a person's existence is actually his or her family. And within that family, having grown up in the family, he will then expand the scope of knowing others within that society. So he builds up the network. And it is important that within this network, he is able to maintain harmonious relationships, so that he can also take his place in that particular society. Here is a quote from the late Venerable Kesari Dhammananda, our teacher. He made the statement that a society grows through a network of relationships which are mutually intertwined and interdependent. And he wrote this in his book, A Happy Married Life. So what this means is that we have to reach out and know how to relate to others in society in a very harmonious way, so that that society can be strong, can function to grow and be positive in building up the structures of that particular society, so that they can advance, they can grow, they can move on to greater heights for whatever they want to do. So what that means is that a person must know how he or she reaches out to others in being interdependent with others. There is a sharing process in order to build up all these harmonious relationships. So harmony, the Buddha did say, is the smooth and pleasant functioning together of two or more parties. And this is important because historically we can see that the societies, the peoples that are able to function harmoniously have progressed. They have gone on from strength to strength in looking after their own welfare, as well as the welfare of other nations that are around them. So the Buddha said that some of the things contributing to the progress of a society, and here he was most perceptive. Although it has been mentioned that he gave a lot of advice to the monks and nuns, he was able to give very, very good advice to the laymen as well, so that they could live very, very good and harmonious lives. He said, an important ability is for people to meet together in harmony, adjourn in harmony, and conduct whatever business they had in harmony. So we can see today that the societies that can do this, they are able to live together well. They are happy as a society. And there are good levels of progress in that society as well. So we must take note of this as Buddhists. So now let us look at the family. It's important to understand where the family comes in. Because in society, the family is a very important unit. And within that family, there is the family that one is born into, and also the family that one develops, which means to say we are born into one family, and then as we get married and have children, we also grow another family. So we'll be taking a look at these two groups. First of all, what is the family? The family is the basic unit of society. And when we take a look at social groups, it is the group that a person develops the first experience of interacting with others. It's a very important group indeed. And we learn a lot about how to mix with people, how to interact with people through our experience of the family. So a peaceful and harmonious family is the most fundamental component. We know this. We have seen this of a peaceful modern society. So when society does not have harmonious families, we find that society starts to break up, and they do not relate well to each other. And in that way, cracks appear, and that society will be weak and will not progress. So, what does Buddhism say about this? What is the view of the Buddha? The Buddha viewed marriage and the raising of families as actually a purely personal matter. We have a choice whether we want to raise a family or not. Buddhism doesn't look upon families as an actual duty. We don't have to get married and raise a family according to the dictates of that religion. But Buddhism does say, if a person wants to get married and raise a family, that person must understand what that kind of relationship is all about before they get married. So basically, a person should open up the eyes and take a look at what makes a good family, what makes a good husband and wife relationship, before he or she makes the decision to get married and later on raise families. So it was the advice of the Buddha, not just in the Sigālovāda Sutta, in many other suttas as well, that were directed towards the layman. In the Mangala Sutta, he said, this as a source of blessing. This to the Buddha is a kind of a very, very important way to behave so that we can get blessings in our life. These are not external blessings, but blessings that we bring ourselves to enjoy if we are able to behave according to the advice. So the Buddha said, if we support our mother and father, if we cherish our wife and children, we will lead a blessed life. If we ignore them, if we don't do our duties well, we won't have good families to return to. We won't have the support of the wife or the husband. We won't have the happiness of having children to greet us, to support us perhaps in our later life. So to have these kind of relationships, to look after parents, to cherish wife and children is a great blessing, the Buddha said in the Mangala Sutta. I'd like to share with you a quote from the Venerable Agachita Mahathero. Yeah, so he had this to say about marriage. And he talks about marriage being a very complex situation. Although, Bhante is a monk, he's very perceptive. And he could see all these relationships forming, when people get married. So he says that this harmony, if a husband and a wife cannot get along well together, it affects the children and the environment in which the children grow up in. So when the marriage does not go well, the children do not grow up in a happy environment. And that affects their minds, and how they look at their own marriage and their own families in the future. So it's important that Buddhists know what they are getting into, so that they are able to manage their own marriages and their family life. I'd like to share with you at this point some statistics from the Department of Statistics in Malaysia, so that we know the context of what we are discussing. Here it says, that the number of marriages as far as the year 2018 was concerned, when compared to 2017, there are more people getting married. But the thing that we also need to take note of, and in the same year, it was recorded that more divorces are also taking place. More people are getting married and more divorces are being registered. So we must take note of this and understand the reasons why this is so. Because when we remember what Venerable Agachita talked about, it doesn't really mean that happy families will be formed if we do not know how to take care of the husband and wife relationship. Here I show you an article from the New Straits Times which looked at the causes of divorce in Malaysia. And it was found that financial issue is a very big contributor to divorces. So therefore, we have to understand, when these kind of developments happen to us, how we can manage our lives, and in order to avoid such things happening in our families. So we therefore must take the advice of the Buddha and find ways, work hard, identify the ways where we can be financially secure, so that our families can also be happy. There's another article I came across which is very, very meaningful, and it was written by Tan Sri Lee Lam Thai, and he said, the family unit can actually tackle a lot of social ills that society is experiencing. And in this article he says, the time has come for us as a nation to improve the quality of life of all Malaysians and address all these negative trends before the situation deteriorates. So when we look around us, we find that not every aspect of society is experiencing harmony. There are some parts of society which are having a lot of trouble coping with their lives. And this is where Tan Sri emphasizes families, how families should be supported to tackle these problems before actually they arise. And he went on to say, we must not be a society of selfishness and greed, just pursuing material greed, wealth at any cost. So we have some people who are just looking after their fortunes. They want to expand, they want to add on to what they have. And they ignore, they neglect their families. This is not the right way to go. This is the advice of Tan Sri Lee. We have to build communities, and this is important. We have to take note of this. We have to build communities imbued with a caring spirit, he said, moral awareness and spiritual enlightenment. Yeah, and this is where religious education, knowing about good moral behavior, comes into the limelight. It's a very important aspect. Yeah, and so he ends this article. He says, greater effort must be made by the government. Yeah, he encourages the government to strengthen human capabilities and highlight the role of family institutions in building balanced society. So what is the advice of the Buddha in the Sigālovāda Sutta in respect to families? So the 6 directions are explained here, and therefore we take pay particular attention to the East as well as the West. So the Buddha said, in 5 ways, a young householder, should a wife as the West be administered to by a husband. Husband must be courteous to the wife, not despise the wife, be faithful to her, hand over authority to her when the right time comes. And also, quite interestingly, he must provide her with adornments, with nice things to decorate herself and feel attractive as well. But conversely, the wife must do these things. She must perform her duties well, whatever is good for the husband and the family. She must be hospitable to relations and attendants. She must be faithful. She must protect what the husband brings home. And she must be skilled and industrious in discharging her duties. So in this way, husband looks after wife looks after husband. So what about a child? A son or a daughter. How does he or she look after the parents? So they should have this way of thinking. Having supported me, these parents, I must support them. I will have to give to them their material needs, whatever they need. I shall do their duties. Whatever they ask of me, I must do. I must keep the family tradition. Which means to say the family, if it's well known for doing certain good acts, he or she must continue them. I must make myself worthy of my inheritance. And furthermore, I shall offer alms in honor of my departed relatives. And this is where Buddhists, it's a very good practice. They offer dana because they want to remember all the good things done by their parents and their other departed relatives. And the parents must do this for the young man or the young woman. They must restrain them from evil. Step in before this person gets into hot soup. They must identify the circumstances. They must encourage them to do good, train them for a profession, arrange a suitable marriage. These days, I'm not quite sure about this, but at least they must know whom their son or their daughter is getting married to. And at the proper time, they have to hand over the inheritance to them. So we reflect, let us now reflect on how we lead our lives. We have to be mindful and patient, because practicing mindfulness allows us to be aware of what's happening around us. Practicing patience means that we cannot always impose what we want on others. And remember to bring about harmony first. So we also must be morally resilient. We must be morally strong. And practice the precepts so that there can be trust between husband and wife, trust within the family as well. So I hope what I have shared with dear Dhamma friends is meaningful. I hope you will take it and reflect upon it with the hope that we as Buddhists develop the wisdom to walk this path and look after not just our families, but the greater needs of society. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Achariya Chye, for the interesting sharing regarding harmonious family. One thing I got from the sharing is that blessing is not bestowed upon us, but we have to take action within our lives to get that blessing in our lives. That's my take. The next sharing, we have Achariya Vijaya on aspects of self-development to benefit society. Acharya?
Thank you very much, Brother Ananda. Namo Buddhaya. As the third speaker, I would like to sort of round up and sort of begin by mentioning that the Sigālovāda Sutta appears in the Digha Nikaya. This Digha Nikaya is a collection of long sutras, but more importantly, it's believed to be the oldest of the collections in the Tripitaka. That means it's most likely that these sutras are directly connected with the Buddha. So when we are talking about the Sigālovāda Sutra, we can safely assume that this actually did happen during the time of the Buddha, and the Buddha's authority comes with it. Yeah? And that's one point. But probably more importantly, we always talk about the Buddha's teaching as akalika. Akalika meaning is beyond the constraints of time. Now, this Sigālovāda Sutra, the whole incident which was so beautifully explained by the other speakers, this incident took place 2,500 years ago, 2,600 years ago. And yet, it is so relevant to us today. It's almost, when we read the Sigālovāda, it's almost as if the Buddha is speaking to us about our time and our problems. The Sigālovāda Sutra in the Digha Nikaya is the core. But beyond the core, the other speakers were telling you about how this happened. And this doesn't happen within the sutra, but it is an explanation in what we call the commentaries. And the commentaries say what happened for the Buddha to have met Sigālovāda and Sigāla and to have given him this advice. And my research took me to this book. It's called Buddhist Rules for the Laity, and you'll be surprised, it was written 110 years ago, and it is 1907. And this book takes the teaching back to the 5th century, Buddha Gosa. What I'm trying to get at is, while the sutras were there, the commentaries were the ones that brought together an oral tradition. And this oral tradition is tacked on to the Sigālovāda. And I'm on the concept of akalika. Please listen to this. This is the introduction to the Sigālovāda Sutra, where, as the other speakers have explained to us, the parents tell the son to worship the 6 directions. Yeah? And the introduction to that is where the father tells the son, please go and visit the Buddha. Please go and communicate with the monks. And the son tells the father this: Dear Father, for me, there is no use in visiting these religious teachers. If I were to draw near these holy teachers, I should have to kneel down and worship them. When I kneel down and bend my body, there will arise pains in my back and my knees will become rough. When I squat on the floor, my clothes will become soiled and torn. When I remain near them, they will begin to converse with me. And conversation will lead to the formation of friendship with them. Thereafter, I will have to supply them with alms, robes, beds, medicines. Then, when I go to supply them with these requisites, I shall have to neglect my work and spend a lot of money on their account. Therefore, dear Father, there is no use in my going to visit your holy priests. Now, this sounds very, very much like my grandchildren speaking. Today, Akalika, 2,500, 600 years ago, here's the guy saying the same thing. And the next point that I would like to go on with that is the adaptability of Buddhism. What do I mean by the adaptability of Buddhism? That here was a son who refuses to go and listen to his father. All right? When he refuses to listen to the father does not say, hey, you don't listen to me, you're going to hell. You be careful. And this is what the religion tells me. No. What Sigālovāda's father said was, okay, this approach doesn't work. Let me try another approach. First approach, go to the monks. Son doesn't want to go. So he said, okay, let's take the second one. You don't go to the monks, never mind. You bow to the 6 directions. All right? And the same thing happens when they meet the Buddha. When Sigāla meets the Buddha and he's bowing to the 6 directions, the Buddha doesn't tell him it is wrong. The Buddha doesn't tell him he's going to hell. No. The Buddha takes the boy's mentality, his attitude of mind, and instead of working against him, the Buddha takes a yin-yang approach and says, okay, you don't want to do this? Never mind. But how about doing it this way? So painlessly, the Buddha aligns the boy's thinking to suit the right path. So to me, this is the beauty of the Sigālovāda Sutta. Everything that the Buddha taught was taught 26 centuries ago. And yet, Buddhism has been able to adapt to all kinds of situations. When things change, Buddhism was able to adapt without, remember Akalika, without compromising. Now, the other 2 speakers were telling us all about how in today we need to adapt to family situations. We also see how that we are all tied down with the COVID, how we are tied down with the lockdowns. Yeah? And how instead of fighting it and demanding our rights, we Buddhists have turned the other way around and thought of our responsibilities. My right is to go to the beach, but my responsibility is not to go and infect somebody. So my responsibility takes pride. And this was taught to us 26 centuries ago. And that is why it is easy for us to bear with the frustrations of lockdown. But we take it in good faith, because by doing our part, by doing our responsibilities, we are looking after the good of society. Now, the next point I'd like to talk about is that when my title is Integrating Self with Society. I think Brother Saint Chye and Sister Buddhinī also talked about this. It is the individual's relationship with society. But if we are talking about self and society, integrating self and society, we have been taught throughout our Buddhist career, we have always been taught there is no self. Anatta, you don't exist. And now what are we talking about? You don't exist, going and relating to society. Aha. This is where a very important, very practical aspect of Buddha's teaching comes into the picture, where the Buddha, throughout his 45-year career, taught at 2 levels. What we call the Paramatta Satya. Paramatta Satya are the transcendental truths. Transcendental truths, there is no self. But that is at a very high level. And this was mostly preached with the monks and renunciates in mind. But the Buddha also knew as in the case of Sigāla, there are people who are not ready for that. So he taught at what is called the conventional level, Samutti Satcha. Now when we talk about Samutti Satcha, we are talking about an I. But that I has to be understood as leading to something. So now in the Sigālovāda Sutra, the Buddha confines himself to the Samutti Satcha, the reality of an I. But that is not the final goal. Yeah? Sigāla is not ready for the higher levels of teaching. But the Buddha doesn't throw him away. And the Buddha doesn't even pretend to want to teach him to become an arahant, but to lead what we call a noble life. Noble life in our everyday. And this is where the Sigālovāda Sutra becomes so relevant to our daily life in the 21st century. Yeah? We start with the self, but that is not the goal. So please understand the Sigālovāda Sutra as a level of the teaching. It's not the final teaching. Yeah? At the end of the sutra, what happens is Sigāla accepts the Buddha's teaching and asks the Buddha to accept him as a lay follower. The sutra does not end with Sigāla becoming an arahant. And that is the beauty of the teaching, that we can accept Buddhism at many levels. As one description of Buddhism, the Buddha says that it's like the ocean. When we are at the beach, the water is very shallow, it just reaches up to our ankles. But as we go deeper, as we proceed further away from the shore, the water becomes higher, the water level becomes higher. And therefore, we start with the Samutti, but we proceed. We don't stop there. Maybe not in this life alone, maybe in previous future lives, when we go deeper and deeper. So remember, we need to proceed from the self to the society and then transcend that. So Paramatta Satcha and then Samutti Satcha. Okay? And this is the level at which Sigālovāda is approached. Now, and going on with that, we have the two approaches that the Buddha takes to renunciates as well as to upasikas. Because the Buddhist ummah, the Buddhist community, is divided into four parts. Bhikkhu, bhikkhuni, upasaka, upasika. Bhikkhu, bhikkhuni renunciates. They are more concerned with the higher levels of the teaching. But for the upasaka and upasikas, which are us, lay people, the Buddha has enormous numbers of teaching to help us to be happy in this life. Yeah. To be happy in this life brings me to my next point. And my next point is that Buddhism has always been, or not always, many times been condemned or criticized for being a very negative religion, a religion which all the time talks about dukkha and suffering and turning away into life-negating aspects. Now, Sigālovāda Sutra stands as a very strong opposition to that approach, that it is not the negative religion, but it is a terribly positive. You can be happy here and now. Here and now. And in this way, we are different from the communists or Marxism, where they say that if the society is controlled, then you can make the people happy. The philosophy that says that if the society is controlled and material needs are given to everybody, then that is enough. There is no need to worry about spirituality. Happiness comes from providing material support to all the people, and you control the society. Buddhism takes the opposite view. Buddhism says you don't control the society to make the individual happy. What needs to happen is the individual needs to be happy and learn how to be happy. And when every individual is happy, then the society is happy. Not from top down, but from bottom up. And that's the difference between communism and Buddhism, as shown in the Sigālovāda Sutta, from the self to the society. Yeah? And I'd like to share with you what Confucius says, the same thing. To change the world, we begin by changing the nation. To change the nation, we change the community. To change the community, we change the family. To change the family, we change ourselves. So we go exactly the same. Confucianism would agree with the Buddha. One of the translations of the title, the Sigālovāda Sutta, is the discipline of the noble. This is the word noble I'd like to pick up. Yeah? Noble is all the Buddha's teachings, yeah, are designed to transform us from ignorant worldlings to noble beings. Beings who work not only for their own benefit, but much more importantly, through that behavior to benefit the whole of society. So I go from self, from myself, from a Samutti Satcha level to the Paramatta Satcha level, where I transform myself to become a noble person. And the Sigālovāda Sutta does just that. Teaches Sigala at a very basic level, doesn't require very much understanding. Oh, by the way, you can take the Sigālovāda Sutta and apply it. It is not a religious teaching. It is a very practical how to be happy now, today. You notice there's no mention of God, no mention of sin, no mention of punishment, no talk about samsara. Yeah? It's just how to be happy by relating nobly to yourself, to the rest of society. Thank you.